Hi, I'm Mindy with Twilight Stitching. Thank you for tuning into this video. I'm going to do an instructional video on this cute little bag. This is the Bottle-Up Sling by Let's Socialize. We're not going to make the bottle holder, but it's still a really cute bag and it's very functional. So this pocket up front is just a big old slip pocket, and it fits a phone, oops, perfectly. On the back, we have the adjustable sling strap, which you can connect to either side, which is very handy. It has this pocket here on the side that's kind of like a hidden pocket because most of the time it's going to be against your body and it blends in pretty well. And then inside, well, first, to look at these cute little rose pulls. This fabric right here is sublimated. I sublimated it with an art file that I've purchased. The inside of this pocket and the inside of the bag is a bonded poly. I believe I bought that from Indolove Creation along with these pulls. The purple, or the lavender, is suede faux leather from Sew Yours. I had to go look that up. It's beautiful fabric. All right, so the inside of the bag, more of the bonded poly. There's a slip pocket here, which holds things very nicely. But in addition to that, you have another zipper pocket within that slip pocket. Goodness. And then on the front, 4 card slots. And inside the bag is plenty of room for all kinds of things. This is a really great bag for traveling. I was able to take a trip, and this was my purse for the trip. And it worked out very great. Not this one, but specifically a different one that I made. So we're going to put this one together in this video, and I hope you enjoy it. If you enjoy it a lot, you could give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And I will be doing more tutorials and live sew-alongs, so please tune in. But let's go make this bag by Let's Socialize. Thank you. All right, let's go over some pieces. First off, I just want to show you this. She has everything pictured very well here. So the exterior front pocket has an outside and an inside. So here I've got this nice purple and navy flower that I sublimated, and the navy on the inside. That will go up. So this is considered the front of the bag and the back of the bag. And here we've got this lavender. You can tell that. Here's the back, which is black. I find that the black is really nice against your body. You don't have to worry about it getting dirty or anything. Okay, and then we have 2 pieces of navy for the inside. The back, we aren't doing the bottle part of it, the part that comes out and holds a bottle, but we are going to do a zipper there. So I just have some black water resistant canvas to go for the inside pocket pieces there. The outside of the bag, we have the zipper gusset, and then we have the bottom gusset. So here we have more of that lavender zipper gusset for the exterior, and more of the navy for the interior, and then the bottom gusset, same, the lavender and the navy. And then inside we have this pocket here that has a zipper, so there's the slip pocket, exterior and interior, and then inside the zipper there's 2 pockets there. So this piece right here that matches the front, it will fold over and be the exterior and the interior of that slip pocket. And then on the inside of that zipper pocket will be more navy. And one other thing that I add is for the other side here, a couple pieces for card slots, and I'll show you that when we get to it. For hardware, the strap, I have 1.5-inch strap for the crossbody sling, the adjustable crossbody sling. The 2 swivel clasp and the slider. We've got 3 D-rings for this up here and these 2 pieces down here. And I forgot to mention this piece right here, I have it matching the back, which is black, and I already started on that, so I'll show you that in a minute. Here's the 2 zipper tabs, or not, sorry, D-ring tabs. They're going to hold the D-rings in down here. The zipper for the exterior, and the back, which is a black to blend in with that. And then inside, this matches. I don't know if you can see, it's like an eggplant. Yeah, really pretty purple. And then I have my name tag, which I don't want to forget that. And then I have a navy, this is a bound bag, so I have some fold over elastic for that. Okay, and for zipper pulls, I have 2 little roses. There we go. For the top of the bag, and inside the bag and the back of the bag. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Okay, so first, I kind of already started this. This piece had, well, these weren't folded in yet, and the interfacing came up to those folds, so I added a little bit of double-sided tape to each one of these, folded it in. I'm going to put it on one of the D-rings here. And then I'm going to stitch. I'm going to start at the bottom and end at the bottom. I'm not going to worry about hiding that start and stop, because this will actually end up being in the seam of the back of the bag. And sometimes when you get around next to this hardware, trying to stitch this way, the back's going to get hooked up on this. So you can set it here and reverse stitch a couple times. Then you can turn around, and sometimes you still need to make sure that you're protecting that. You can stitch away. Okay, now I have this little trapezoid. Can you see it? There we go. Yeah. Set that aside. We're going to work on the D-ring holders for the back. Mark a line down the middle. Yeah. Add some double-sided tape to that line. I like to use 1/4 inch and then fold each side into that. Some people will put a line of 1/8 inch on both sides, but I find this works just fine. Now, if you're going to let it sit around for a couple days, that might not work so good. But I'm just going to turn around and sew it down, so don't have to worry about that. And I know it looks like we're covering up the line, but as soon as you pull this off, then you can see the line just fine. You fold each edge into that line. And the pattern maker has us sewing 4 lines instead of typical 2. So these things out of the way. Yeah, I'm just going to let that sit there and then sew up the other one right behind it. All right, these are, just clip off these little pieces. And then we put these aside for later. Next, we're going to start on the gusset, and this is the full gusset. So first we'll do the top, and then we'll add the bottom to it. And one thing I want to mention is that the pattern says to stitch the zipper on with a 3/8 inch stitch, but I don't like having to switch out my feet on this. So I do the 1/4 inch stitch, which means that I'm going to stitch further away from the actual zipper than is planned in the pattern. So when I get done, this won't match the bottom gusset. So I went ahead and I cut an extra 1/8 inch off of both the tops and the bottoms. So everything has an extra 1/8 inch off the sides of what the pattern says, so that I can sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance on the zipper and not have to worry about it matching the bottom gusset when I add that. Next, I'm going to add double-sided tape to both sides of the zipper. Actually, I'm going to do it, you can do it either way. This time I'm going to do it, I'm going to add it to one side of each of these and one side of each of the lining. And it doesn't matter which side, since everything is equal. It doesn't matter which side you add to, but you do need to add it to the right side of the fabric in both cases, the exterior and the lining. You need to have this on the exterior of one side. All right, so now I'm going to take one of the exterior pieces. I'm going to put it right side down against the edge of the zipper tape. And you can mark centers if you want, but as long as you cut everything equal, you just kind of lay it there and stick her down. By using the tape, you're not having to baste. We used to, when I say we bag makers, it used to be that you would clip this to the zipper and do a base stitch, and then you would clip the lining and actually sew it. But by using the tape, you're circumventing the basting stitch and you're circumventing any slippage. Sewing machines tend to press too hard sometimes on different fabrics, or certain fabrics have a little bit of a stretch to them, so they can be pushed out of whack. But by putting the tape down, it can't stretch anymore while it's sewing. Okay, so now I'm going to put right side down onto the back of the zipper. So we have, we'll have a zipper sandwich here with the exterior side against the front of the zipper and the lining side against the back of the zipper. All right, so now I like to stitch from the side where the zipper is up, and I'm going to stitch at my 1/4 inch seam at a regular stitch length all the way across. Always back stitch at the beginning and the end. And we're going to press the finger press the top and the exterior and the interior away from the zipper. And we're going to do a top stitch all the way down here with both pulled away from the zipper. And I have found that if you just clip them, which doesn't seem like it would work when there's all this play here, but if they're clipped together, then you can pull them at the same rate, and that helps you from getting this into the zipper on the back. So I just clip all the way down with these together. All right, so now I'm going to change my stitch length to a top stitch. It's a little bit bigger, and I'm going to top stitch along the top here, trying to keep it taut. Okay, one side is done. And we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. So I'm going to tape this right side down against the top of the zipper, and then flip it over and tape the lining right side down against the back of the zipper. All right, now that we have that, we're going to do the same thing. Stitch at a regular stitch length, which I do about 4.5 on my industrial at the 1/4 inch. Okay, same thing. I'm going to pull these away, clip them, and top stitch. Okay, now that we have both of those, we're going to do a very important step here that can be left off, but it would make your bag very unusable, and that is adding the zipper pulls. And since this is a double zip, We're going to add one to this end, and we're going to add one on this end, and they will come together. So I just pull these apart a little bit. Put one halfway on over here, the other one halfway on over here, and push it on. It doesn't always happen that nice, but you want to make sure that this is even, and you can tell if there's a bulge on one side or the other of this, which we don't. So I'm going to go ahead and add okay, no bulge. We're going to pull them together. And there's the top. So now I'm actually going to just baste around all four edges. Oh, let's see. I'll just start here. Okay. Just makes it easier to work with if all the sides are sticking together. Now we're going to get the bottom gusset pieces. And do they match? They do. That's so fabulous. Okay, so we're going to sandwich the top zipper panel between this exterior piece and the lining piece. But I'm going to put them on with clips one at a time. So right sides together, the exterior against the right side of the top. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put the right side of the interior against the bottom side of the top panel. And stitch that together. Seam allowance is in the pattern. Try not to give out all those. Regular stitch length. We're going to flip these together and top stitch just like I did for the zipper. I'm going to top stitch along right here. Add a larger stitch length. need to make the loop. So we're going to do the other end of this, right sides together here. And this gets a little crazy, but we're going to match this up here. And just kind of ignore the loop-de-loo going on down there. And stitch it together. Again, pull these out so we can top stitch here. Just going to kind of push everything else out of the way. Okay, and just like we based it around these edges, we're going to do the same thing here so that these stay together and aren't flopping around. And I think, yeah, I think I'm going to have less play if I do it this way. So I'm going to clip these together and sew baste along the edges here. And I'm just basting, so I already have this stitch here and basting from here all the way down to this one. So nothing real pretty. It's just going to be inside of a seam, but now it's all one line instead of two lines, trying to match things up. Okay, and I'm just going to do the same thing to this side. Okay, now we have a whole gusset, and we're going to mark centers. So I'm going to pull these two seams together and give a little clip at the bottom and at the top. And same for the other side. Okay. Now we set that aside. Okay, now we're going to work on the front. So we have the outside and inside of that front pocket piece and the front of the bag. But first, I'm going to put on my tag, and I have found I like to put it towards the bottom of that front pocket. It's coming off. I'll iron that down a little bit more. So I'm going to mark the centers. And there's no actual measurement for this. I find that sometimes towards the bottom works, and then I kind of fit it into the design because I usually have some sort of pattern. So of course I want it centered, but so I'm going to take this off. I used to not take this off until the very end, but I found that depending on which way it was overhanging, I was getting my centers off because I was looking at the plastic and not the actual tag. So it comes off now in the process. And I'm going to put this, I'm going to put it, I think, about there. Maybe a little bit higher. So I would probably go for maybe 2 inches from the bottom. Oh, you can't see that. But I want it to be up a little bit so that these roses aren't affected. So I'm just going to move her up to about 2 1/8. I really like that 2-inch mark, so I don't want to go up too far. And everybody has different labels that are different sizes and different shapes. So I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to mark my lines. I'm going to pull up my little mat here, cut my holes for these prongs. Oops, the prongs to go through. I'm going to give this an extra piece of backing, like some more waterproof canvas, just to give it a little more stabilization behind that, unless I find something else. Ooh, I have a piece of Decaville Heavy. I think I might use that. It's a lot stiffer, and this is pretty loose, so I want to give this some good stabilization. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll move on. All right, now I have that on there. I think it looks pretty good. I am going to put a piece of tape over this. Make sure this isn't going to poke into anything that it's sitting against. All right. Now, we're going to take the exterior and the interior of that front pocket. We're going to clip them together, but we're only going to sew. It's easier to see from the side. There's a little corner here. We're going to sew up over and down to this corner. There's a little bit of ridge there. Back to a regular stitch length. And even though that corner ends up starting, if you were to start there with your seam allowance, you'd be in the middle. You're going to back up to the edge. And then you're going to flip it. Oh, first. Yeah. And then we're going to flip it right sides out. Make sure you get that little the corners punched out. Okay, a nice seam there. We're going to clip that so that everything stays where I want it to. You want the lining to stay in the back because I would prefer the lining not show from the front of the bag. So before I stitch this down, I want to make sure that I have the lining good and stuck back there. Okay. So we're going to do a top stitch starting here again all the way around. And then once we get here, we're actually going to baste the rest of it closed. So I'm actually going to put some more clips here. But to start out, I'm going to start here, and I'm not going to do my largest top stitch. I'm just going to do kind of a little top stitch, meaning this isn't a big piece. I got corners, so corners make for bad. You get stitches too big and it's hard to make a corner. I'm going to go off, back stitch, then I'm going to start my basting stitch around. bobbin's getting low. Lucky I made it all the way around. All right, there is the front piece, and the inside, that will be the back side of that pocket. Now we're going to put it on the front piece. We're going to line up the bottoms. Just a couple for the moment. The bottoms and the side. And then before I get clip happy, I'm going to take a ruler and just make sure that the space here and here is the same so we don't have a crooked pocket. And I think I'm okay. Actually, I am crooked just by a hair, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit. All right, I'm happy with that. I'm going to clip the rest. All right, so now we just want to baste this all the way around, because after that we're going to put it against the lining panel and stitch it. So here's just a good based stitch. I also try and go inside my last basting stitch. The less amount of stitch lines you can have in the same spot, the better. So you just need to look at where your seam allowance is, and as long as you're still inside where your seam allowance will be for sewing it onto the back or the lining piece, you're fine. You can for instance, and I don't even know, I have to look at the seam allowance, but say you're going to sew it to the back or the lining piece at a 1/2 inch. As long as this basting stitch stays within that, you could have a 3/8 inch basting stitch because it will stay in. So you just have to know what your seam allowance will be. All right, so here's where I'm going to deviate from the pattern just real briefly. Remember I said I was going to add some cardstock pockets to the front. This will be the front of the bag, so when it's open you'll have some cardstock pockets here because it's just an empty slate. So here's my cardstock pieces that I'm using. They are 2 inches by 5 3/8 inches. No. They are 3 3/8 inches by 5 inches. And we're going to end up putting them on like this and then splitting them. So you have 4 cardstock pockets right here. So on the back of each one, we're going to draw a line 1/2 inch down and make a mark. This is not in her pattern. This is something that I do. You do not need to add these. I think they're extremely helpful to add on a side that has nothing there. I'm not taking away from the bag at all to add this. Then we're going to add some double-sided tape along here and fold it to that line. I'm getting low on my tape here. I'm going to have to pull out a new one. We're going to stitch across the top here. So we are going to be stitching through tape. If your machine has problems with that, you might want to have some alcohol set aside. I'll probably pull one out myself. All right, and this is all going to be showing on the front, on the lining piece. So it also needs to be fabric that doesn't fray. So you can't use cotton for these. It's better this way. Mine's the very end. It wants to creep out here. So I'm going to and again, since these are not going to be hidden in any seams, I'm going to clip off everything and try and melt back any threads hanging out. And you may note that there is no backing to this. So this is actually, the cards are going to go against that, which is fine. This one in particular happens to be fuzzy and soft. All right. All right, next I'm going to I'm going to mark the centers on this piece. Top and bottom. going to mark just on the tip here, not with a cut. This is all going to show. I'm going to just mark with my silver pen the center piece there, and I'm actually going to go down and do that here too. And on this one also. Okay, so now, since this isn't in the pattern, I'm kind of just trying to figure out where I want it to go. So I want it to sit, I want the top one a little closer to the top. Yeah. I think I want the top one to sit, what is that, 2.5 inches below the top, okay? So what I'm also going to do here to try and mark that center is use a little bit longer ruler. And I'm going to use just a chalk pencil so that I can draw a line that hopefully will rub off. Oh, that wasn't dark enough. Let's try that again. I'm only going to go towards the middle here. Okay, so you can barely see it. Yeah. And now I'm going to take one of these, hold it 2 inches from the top, and since I have the, oh, you can't see. Since I have the top marked and the line, I'm going to just line that up with the line at the top and the bottom. And I'm going to tape this down with some paper tape that I can sew through. Definitely don't want to leave this stuff on for too long, but it's great for temporary. Yeah. All right, so for this one, we are just going to stitch along the bottom, get it to stick in place. And I'm going to do a regular stitch length and just an 1/8 inch just to get it to stay there. This is going to be hidden, this particular one. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this tape. It likes to stick. And the next one is going to go, it's going to sit 5/8 of an inch down from that one. So how do I do this? I just hold this 5/8 from the bottom. That's not helpful. So I think I'm going to just draw a little line 5/8 past the bottom of this one. Yeah, with this chalk line. And line up that middle mark with that line that's still going down. And what's more important is that it lines up on the edges, because the middle mark is not going to be that important. My vinyl here is a little stretchy, which is causing some problems with the whole centering thing. So I'm going to tape some more down here. Where'd my tape go? Because that worked really good. But boy, does it like to stick. All right, one more. In fact, I think I'm gonna take this off because I don't want to have to peel that off after I've sewn on it. And I'll lay it over the top. Same over here. I'm gonna pull this up. Very sticky. All right, so one more thing I'm gonna try and draw a little line here from this center line to this center line, because I'm gonna stitch from here down here. I'm gonna pause and go up and back and then over and up. So when I'm done, we will have 4 card slots and everything will be stitched down and ready to move on. So I'm just going to do this, and I think this time I'm still going to try my chalk here. I only need to see it long enough. Oh, that's too light. And the silver, this is kind of porous vinyl, so I don't want to put too much silver on there. I'm just going to give myself a little disappearing ink so I can see that line. Okay, so I'm going to give a little bit more of a top stitch here instead of a regular stitch. I'm going to start right here on the edge. You know what? I can see, this is not a big deal, but on this, as I was coming to the end, it kind of squished up so I can see some of the underside. I'm just going to clip that off real quick. It's not going to hurt anything. And then I don't have to see it. Nobody's going to see it's inside a bag, but I don't want to know that it's there. So I'm going to start right in that, where I ended that seam. I'm going to go teensy bit more. And then I'm going to this way. Again, teensy bit so I can end on that middle line. So I can go straight up and back. And I'm going to probably, no, I would normally backstitch here, but I'm going to come all the way to the top and turn around and go back down. So it's going to get two stitches over it anyway. top one's going to get the most, so I gave it a little extra. Right back where I started. Oh, it's not perfect. Get a little bit extra. There we go. All right. So I'm going to spend a few moments pulling off all this sticky tape like that. But oh my goodness, this tape wanted to live on this vinyl. It took a lot to get it off. So, moral of the story is try your tape out on your vinyl. For some reason, this one was a bit challenging. All right, so next, for the last of this, we're going to put these wrong sides together, clip them, and again, baste them together. Yep. Too many clips. That's better. All right. I'm gonna baste it together. All right, front pocket with slip pocket that fits phones fantastically. In the back of the front pocket, it has 4 wonderful card slots. I wonder if I have any cards here. Oh, maybe I'll run across some later to try. Okay, now we're going to move on to the back. All right. We have the back piece. I love this. This is from Bodio. It just feels like leather. I like it. The top triangle for the straps. We have little strap connectors that are going to go here. And then we have a zipper pocket with the lining pieces, zipper lining pieces that are going to go here. All this on the back piece. First, we're going to start on the bottom. So the strap connectors are hidden. Therefore, we need to do a little hidden, need to make the marks. So the pattern piece has these ready to go. So I just cut them out and use my silver pin to go around the outside of each one. Don't need that anymore. Now I'm going to take my blade and I'm going to cut along the inside, since the pen was marked on the outside of each one of these. It's supposed to be kind of like a 3-sectioned, a flat piece with 2 wings. And I'll make sure that they're all connected. The cuts are connected. Okay. Do the other side. And again, I want to make sure all my cuts are connected. Okay. And now that those cuts are made, I'm going to wipe off the silver. We don't need it anymore, and it just gets on everything. Ooh. If you leave it, because it wipes off easy. Well, apparently I got too much spray on there. And I got a little piece sticking up here. Get rid of that. So here's our 2 strap D-ring connector holders. Got a little piece there too. So we need our D-rings. Okay, and here is where we start with number 2. Because I had to redo a couple things on side number 1 because I forgot how to do it properly. So we're just gonna say that one's done. Now I'm gonna show you on this one. Why is it way over there? I don't know. All right, so you're going to have this wrong side up. You're going to go into your little hole here that has the two wings going away from you. See that? Then you're going to turn it over and see that you have it. Yeah. Right side is up. But you're going to sew right along here as close as you can get without going off. And you're going to start and stop at the edge of the purple. You don't want to go past it on either side. And you want some smaller stitches on these because you want to be able to do a lot with a little bit of space. All right, so nothing fancy, just a little stitch there. But when you turn it over, it's stitched right along here without getting there. So your next step, you're going to fold this back down and shove it through. But you want to put your D-ring on first. So we're going to put the D-ring on here. Then we'll shove it through. It's a lot to get in that little tiny hole. Turn it over and kind of pull it through. Okay, now you want them to have the same amount kind of sticking out. Looks like this one got pulled a little tighter. Okay, so we're going to turn it over again. Now this, we're going to flip it. And now we're going to sew along here, but we're going to pull everything out of the way. So your hardware obviously is right here, and you want to be able to stitch without falling off of that. So whatever, see, I have a skinnier side on this side than I do here, so I'm going to put this against the hardware so I can make sure that I can sew here. And same thing, don't go past the edges. Okay. There you can see, I stitched it barely. That's all you need. Okay, so then you turn it back over and it lays flat like that. So we're going to put rivets right here and here, and those are optional, but I think they're great, and then they keep all this flapping from flapping around. And I'm going to cut this one like this one, just a little bit even, and then I can stick a rivet in there. Works so much better when you do it properly. And let's see, there's no set spot for a rivet, so I'm just going to put this little tool up against that, and I'm going to put, I think, well, phooey. Actually, I like the 3/8 inch mark. So instead of putting it right up against it, I'm going to pull it to the edge of my black. And then I'm going to put it at 1/4, and that should be a desirable spot for me. I like it. And again, just against the edge of the black, at a 1/4 inch. If you want yours further out, that is totally fine. It's whatever you prefer, and you just want to make sure that when you do punch through, you're going to get into these. You don't want it to be way out here because that will defeat the purpose. So I'm going to go back here to my rivet press, punch some holes. All right, so I just punched holes where I made those marks. I'm going to put my rivets in. Goes through everything. And the same for this side. Okay, let me go press them. All right. Looks pretty good. So now we have the zipper and the top. Yeah, I'm going to do the zipper first. And so I'm going to do it like a normal zipper where this is a square, so I don't have to worry about which side goes which side. I'm going to take the back. I'm going to draw a line 3/4 of an inch from the edge. I'm just going to use this, and I'm on the wrong side. I don't know if I said that. 3/4 of an inch. And since I'm using number 5 tape, I'm going to go a 1/2 inch past that. And I'm going to do another line. If I was using number 3 tape, it would only be 3/8 inch, but number 5, you need a 1/2 inch. And the sides, so I'm going to do 3/4 of an inch on the sides also. 3/4, so you can see that's right against that, and then 3/4 on this side. All right. So if you understand how zippers go in, I'm going to basically cinch this to the back. I'm going to sew along these 4 edges, sew that box, and then I'm going to cut it out, and the zipper is going to sit inside that. So wherever this box ends up is where the zipper is going to be. So I want to make sure that when this is sewn, I am not going to, I'm going to have a little bit of a ledge here past the zipper. I don't want the zipper to be falling, being sewn in with the, when I do the gusset. So all right, so let's see, I'm going to mark, it can't be right. I'm going to mark it a little bit bigger. All the way around here. Around there. All right, so I've got somewhat of a seam allowance I want to make sure that I'm missing, and I'm going to make that box fit with, maybe have a good 1/4 of an inch past that box, or past that seam allowance, and I'm going to put my, I don't know if I'm making sense. The edges of my box are going to be at least 1/4 of an inch away from the seam allowance when the back gets sewn to the gusset. So with this, I'm not using that tape. I'm going to use some magnets, and I would have used these before. It actually wouldn't have worked where I was going to use, because there are too many layers. They wouldn't go through that. So this, I'm going to set it underneath here. And isn't that handy? All right, I've got 4 of them here. So again, I'm going to set another one on the other side of the box, because I'm going to be stitching around the box. I don't want to stitch through my magnets. And I think I've even got room for them on this side. I just keep them on this piece of wax canvas, because it's hard enough getting them apart when I have fabric between them. If I don't have fabric, they're really tough. Okay, put these on the edge. All right. These things out of the way. Okay, when you're sewing these on, you want, again, a small stitch length. So I'm going to go under 4, just under 4. And I'm just going to follow. You want to make sure that you get, move that out of the way. You want to get into those corners as well as you can without rounding them, because you're going to cut into those corners and you do not want to cut your threads. So I'm just going to start anywhere. My stitch. Okay, no, smaller. Come on. Ugh. That's better. All right, and supposedly the trick to making a really good corner is to pull this back up manually to just, so it's barely sticking in there still. And then so. And it didn't go quite far enough, so I'm going to make it go a little further. And come back up. Yeah, be careful. Sometimes you lose these because it, I don't know which one I lost though, because they're still stuck to this. Yeah, they're magnetic, so they stick to the machine, which is why there's sometimes a little mix up. Yeah, that one doesn't want to let go of the machine. I thought I was able to see all of this before. I just realized that I know black on black in tutorials is really tough. So I'm going to do my best to show you what's going on here. So I only have 3 magnets left. I'm going to take those puppies off. No. Line them up over here. No. So here's your box. Still working with the wrong side of the lining, but on top of the right side of the back. So I don't do this anymore, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to visualize a line down the center of all of this, and at the ends, the line goes up to the corners. If you can see the corner, there's stitching around that. So you want to cut along that line all the way down the center, except for the corners. You're going to go into the corners as tight as possible without cutting the thread, the stitches. And some people use a seam ripper to start it, and then they use scissors. I go back to my little X-Acto knife. I think it's easier, so I just cut my line down the middle. And then I go up into my corners. It's hard to see on black too, even in real life. This corner. Make sure all your cuts are, I don't know how many things still left attached like this. Okay, now there's a hole. How do we do the hole? So we're going to push this through the hole. We're actually going to push all of them through the hole. Oh, wait. I'm going to get rid of this silver because it's just going to be problematic here. Okay, so we're still pushing everything through that hole. You really want to try and press it with your fingers. So again, that lining isn't showing from the right side of the bag. See, all of that's going to be pushed through to the other side. And this just takes some finessing fingers. There's no easy way. Now, if this is all cotton, it is easier because you can just take it over to the iron and iron it down. But how many times do we sew with all cotton? When you're in linings, maybe that would be easier in linings. All right, so it's pretty close. I am going to use my iron, but I'm going to put it on a medium setting. I'm going to use some Teflon sheets, and I'm going to iron it from this side. To get it as flat as possible and to where the lining is mostly on the inside. All right, so while that is another clapper I'm going to take care of my zipper. So I like to put double-sided tape along the edges of my zipper. Then I put my zipper pull on, because once you put your zipper pull on, you have a bulge, which I think makes things more difficult. Okay, that's on there good. Now I'm going to put this on. All right. It looks pretty straight. You see that? It's very dark. Okay. And see, there's a bulge. Okay, let's see how it's doing over here. All right. It looks pretty good. And maybe now you'll see why I use black liners for this back pocket. I kind of feel like it's a concealed pocket. Excuse me. That's why I don't use a different colored zipper, because I feel like another colored zipper is going to stand out. And the last time I used a colored liner, that stood out too. So I'm just doing my best to make it as hidden as possible. Okay, so you want your zipper to open from the top, and this zipper is heading towards the top because I put it on here. But if I were to pull down, it would open. So heading towards the top is the way we want it to go on here. So I'm going to take these off. And I'm going to try and line up the edges here, and can't see. I'm going to try and line up this edge and this edge with the edge of the zipper, because there should be the same length. I usually try and do one end with the zipper in the middle. It's a little tougher on the side here. And then I can kind of guide it up the middle and end up with it in the middle on the other end. Again, you can place and replace and just get it to where you're happy with it. And really, this fabric looks so leather-like. I feel like it's pretty common to have it look this way here. Anyway, I think that's going to be fine. It is a little bit out of a slant, but I did that on purpose because if I wanted it straight, I would have had to make it shorter, because the bag starts to go in at that point. So now I'm going to take a little bit longer stitch. I'm going to start here. Normally on exterior zipper pockets like this, I would pull my threads to the back, but we are black on black and nobody's going to be able to see it. It's not, it'll be just fine. So a little bit, come on, a little bit bigger. You know what? This is not black thread. We're navy on black, which is close enough for me. Yeah. All right. It's not bad. Oh. So, closed, open. Nice. Oh, the light. Not very obvious zipper on the back. I think it's great. All right, so we only have one side of the pocket, the inside pocket though. I am going to shorten up these zippers that are overhanging just a little bit. Just a little bit. I don't want to cut it way back, just enough that it's not going past it for some reason. I think that's okay. Then I'm going to seal those off with a little heat. Okay. So this is the right side now, and we're going to put the other right side down. And we're going to, what are we going to do here? So it's going, a little bit at an angle, which is fine. I'm just going to clip these and see where I'm at. I'll start here. So I'm sewing all 3 sides together. Even though some of it may be taken off eventually. Now I'm going to sew along this edge so I can baste that to it, because I also don't want this getting bunched up. So I'm going to baste it along this edge so it will be flat. It also closes it up, so now I'm going to trim the edges. So it will be all one size. Okay, the only thing left on the back panel is to put our strap holder here. So I'm going to find the center of the top. And let's see. I'm just going to mark this guy real quick. Okay. Right there. And I'm just going to stitch it on. All right, the back is done. Very good. We got a full pocket here. Goes all the way to the other side. It's great. I do see some threads hanging out, so I'm just gonna put them in their place. All right, so we just need to do the inside of the back panel, which consists of this additional zipper slash slip pocket. So there's a zipper. All right, so we're gonna do another one of the zipper, very similar. I know it doesn't look the same, but we're gonna draw that rectangle on the back of this. But in order to do that, I need to find the center of each side because I need the zipper to go in the center. All right, just draw a line, and I'm going to use my air erasable marker on this side. So I'm drawing a center line that will be helpful when cutting, but we're using a number 5 zipper again, so it needs to be a box that's another 1/2 inch wide. So I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch on either side of this. And this ruler happens to be 1/2 inch. Makes it kind of easy. Nope, get back there. All right, and there is a dimension in the pattern for the sides. Okay, now we have our box. We also have a conveniently drawn center line for cutting if you want to use that. And we're going to do right sides together. So we have the roses, excuse me, and the lining. And let's see, can I use clips here? Is that going to be enough? Well, I got my handy dandy little magnets out. I think I'll just use one on either side. A little extra stability. Right there. Okay. So, same thing, we're going to sew around this box with a tiny little stitch length. I'm going to get the iron turned on. I made it out with both magnets. All right. You can see the box that was sewn, and you can't see on the back very well. So we're going to do the same as last time. Cut a line down the center with the little upside down V's at the end. right. And this is a little different in that it's in the middle, so you can push either one through. It's going to end up looking the same, which seems weird. So I'm going to push this one through. Now they're both right side. Okay, so I'm going to go over and iron this again, try and get it as flat as possible. Maybe from this side, because this side seems to be the side that needs some convincing. And while that's straightening out, I'm going to prep this zipper the same way. Is it so dark? Okay, so this time I obviously want the roses to be sitting like that. And I like my zippers to open from left to right. And this is heading to the left again, opens to the right. So we're going to put it this way under that. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to sew around here, but this time I think I'm going to pull my threads to the back. So I just want to make sure that I start with longer threads, make sure that I have enough to pull. This is really big. I'll make it less big. All right. While this is right here, I'm going to pull the threads to the back. Sometimes if I don't do this and I sew over them, it creates problems. But it is very dark under here. All right. Again, long tails. So I can pull whichever one that was, this one through. And I'm just gonna take 2 and 2 and tie a couple knots. And I'm just gonna tie 2. If you get into a third one, you end up with a big old bulge, and cut them really close. Hold my screwdriver here while I melt these down. Try and get them as flat as possible. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to fold this so that the zipper is at the top, like that. And then it's going to go on top of this. But I'm going to fold that up. I'm going to line the bottom up with the lining panel. I'm going to stick a couple clips here. Ooh. And then I'm going to see how my side distances are. I want them to be, yeah, it's over a little too far. So and I'm just gonna, doesn't really matter what it is, you just want it to be the same. That's good. Okay. Pull these up again. Make sure they're lined up with the bottom. Okay. Now, what else can I do here? Do some more of these. They're longer. Okay. Looks good. I'm going to do that measurement thing again where I make sure that the distance is the same on both sides. Because I don't like things to be, well, and they're not straight. Oh, that's not totally. Huh. Okay. I'm going to pull this side up a little bit. Make sure this still looks okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to stitch this from the back because I can actually see it from the back. And the goal here is just to baste it all together. Oh, this thing is going to be too much. So this is where my microphone died and I didn't know it. So I'm going to be the voice of my sewing for just a few moments. Well, about 7 minutes. When I take a break and realize that my mic is off. So right about now, I am finishing up basting that pocket to the lining piece. And now I'm going to trim all the excess off the bottom. All right, all done. Slip pocket and zipper. Now I will need to put it on the back piece, wrong sides together, flip them, and baste those together. But of course, I need to mark all the centers first, so I at least have somewhere to start. All right. All the pieces are basted and ready to put together. The front, the back, no, the back, and the insides, and the gusset. So I've already marked the gusset centers, so I'm going to pick which one I think looks the best. I think this side looks the best, so I'm going to have this go against, but I'm supposed to do the back first, so I'm going to have this go against the back. Center. Yep. And we now return to your regularly scheduled voices and sewing noises. The exterior gusset goes against the right side of the outside of the bag. So I'm going to clip the center here at the top. And then I'm going to go down and clip the center of the bottom. Yep. And I don't think there's any side, so I think we just get to the corners. I'm going to go here. Oops. I don't know how long my mic was out. I sure hope I figured out how to dub over, because I have no idea. I looked at it a while ago and it seemed like it still had half a battery, but must not have been the case, or I just kept going longer than I expected. All right, so I went around that corner. I'm not even showing you. So started at the top, went around this corner, and got to this corner, and it's a bit tight, which is okay because I have a stapler. This stapler is my friend. I am going to go around the other side though, just to make sure that Everything was indeed centered, and I have the same tight corner on that side. So it looks pretty well centered. I have the same kind of corner. So I'm going to push this corner into the gusset as best I can. Just a little squished there. But now I'm going to staple. But I'm going to do it in my lap because it wants to let go and I can't. All right, so I don't know if you can tell, but it's all evenly spaced, and I will have to watch out for those when I sew that. But I think the seam allowance should take care of that. And do the same thing in this corner. Okay. Similar thing going on here. Okay. I think I'll start here, go all the way around so that I have at least all of this sewn by the time I reach those staples. I think everything looks pretty good there. I'm going to take these staples out. Okay. I am going to trim up these corners a little bit. No. No, I'm not. But I'm going to do the binding here. Ugh, come on. So this binding is meant to be stretched. That's why it works so well around corners. So to start that though, I'm going to leave a little tail, and then I'm going to clip it here so that I can start stitching about here. And then once I start stitching, I'm going to unclip it, and then I'm going to just give it a little stretch as I go around so that it's taut, not loose, not totally stretched out, but a little bit of stretch in it. Okay, there we go. All right, when I get to the end here, I'm just gonna have them overlap. Really, I'm gonna have the one that I've been pulling, I'm gonna have it go underneath the one that was sitting here. I'm gonna fold that over. Okay, I didn't cut it short enough. A little bit shorter. All right, so this is where you check to make sure you connected to the bottom of all of your and surprisingly it's not like super pretty, but I did. You know what, right here at the bottom where I had that trouble getting them connected, I'm just gonna go over that one more time here. Oops. One side done. The other side to go. All right, right side, inside. Okay. Let's turn this right side out. There we go. Beautiful little bag, slip pocket, zipper pocket. Inside has a nice zipper pocket, slip pocket, and card slots. So only thing Only thing it needs is the strap. All right, so we're using webbing, so we don't have to sew a strap. We just gotta put it together. So first I'm going to singe these ends so they can't unravel on us. Take one end, wrap it around the center of the slider, and decide how you want to do this. I really am not a huge fan of sewing straps on, but punching holes in this isn't the easiest either. It's so dark. Okay. But the wide ones tend to be a little bit easier. Most people do the strap at the beginning to get it out of the way. I like it so much less that I waited to the end, and I still don't want to do it. Okay, so I could stitch it, but stitching doesn't look very good. And I could do 2 rivets, which is probably what I'm going to do. But I can never get my rivets straight, so I don't think it looks very good either. Oh well. Let's see. I got this new little rivet thing, which would be so much easier if I didn't have these in the way. So annoying. I wonder if I did it, turn them over. I think they're a little flatter on this side. Okay. Say I want them to be right there. I'll make a hole there. A mark. And a mark there. And in case you're interested in this tool, I just got this from ARC. What does it say? Rivet Spacer. She's on Etsy. And she sells templates for patterns, among other helpful templates. Okay, I'm gonna give her a try. Well, they came out pretty straight. But I also want to put a little bit of glue. It's just Beacon 3-in-1 because it can fray. Just a little bit. A little bit of glue. All right, I'll go press those. Okay, so keeping the wrong side up here, we're gonna wrong side up. I'm gonna put this because it's wrong side up, we're putting this down, and then we're gonna bring this back, go in, over, and this followed me. So now that you have that all the way through, you're gonna put this around here. This thing doesn't want to. And then we have the same thing. We're gonna get this thing to, let's see. Yeah, flat side up. And flat side up. Looks pretty straight. This could go up a little bit. Okay. Same little marker. See how this does. Okay. Second set. And that's on. So now we have a whole strap. Thanks for watching. I hope you decide that you want to make this bag too.